Test, test one, test two. Hey everyone, welcome to another recap chat. This is Irene with CBiz Media, and we are talking another episode of Hump for Love, connected to the whole 90-day universe. All of those relationships that didn't work out, these are some of the people that are left behind, and they're showing them how to date, how to reconnect, how to find love again. But it's really just kind of debauchery, really, and it's kind of like Love Island connected to 90 Day Fiance, and it's like really like they're just hooking up. It's messy. They do have a few different workshops and they have games that they play, but nothing really concrete. It's basically all just a mess fest. So let's talk about it. This is Hunt for Love. Now, we start off with this episode with Jay and Tiffany going out on their date. Now, we know that Tiffany's been with Carlo. She's had her eyes on Rocky. Jay pops up out of nowhere. And he says everybody loves chocolate because he's an African-American man. So he thinks he'll stand out amongst Tiffany's so-called entanglement with these two other guys that she has her eye on. But Carlo, she has the deepest connection with. So they kind of talk, and she talks a little bit about her kids, and he says, I really care about kids. I'm a teacher. So they kind of connect on that. Then he asks, are you up for an adventure? She's like, yeah, I'm not really the adventurous type. So he's like, well, can you give me a kiss? And she's hesitant at first, but then she kind of gives him a little peck, and he tries to do more. He really tries to put it on her, but she kind of backs away from it. And then he's kind of like kissing her face and neck because he can't get the lips anymore. So he does what he does. He tries to put it on her anyway. Is this chocolate working for her? Well, for her, she's saying, she wanted to try different options because that's the whole point of being on this resort island, is to meet new people and interact and see if you can find a connection. But she says for Jay, when it comes to Jay, he was a little bit too forward. Then he's gonna ask her, am I first place considering the other guys that you have on your roster, so to speak? And I'm like, LOL. How are you gonna move to first place when this is like the first or second time, maybe the third time we've seen you in glimpses? So if we've barely seen you, I don't know how much she's seen you, and I don't know how much of a real connection you guys have. So I kind of LOL'd that one off. I don't know. But he does seem a bit pushy, and I don't like pushy guys. If guys are too pushy and too forward too quick, it's really a red flag. Not sure why they have to so-called win, so to speak. To me, this is not a competition like Love Island. Do they win thousands of dollars? And I just don't know that this is the end game. I don't know, but this is how he's acting. And she said this date really just made it clear for her that she really wants to be with Carlo. Colt and Courtney checking with each other via FaceTime. She said, telling him she misses him. They love talking with each other and their banter. And she says she likes being there with him in the hospital more than being out at the resort. And he says, I'm always thinking about you. So to me, they act like they're in love. I feel like there's no question when Usman comes into the picture and asks her all these things. I mean, they're basically talking like a couple. I don't know if Usman knows that yet, but this is what we kind of all been figuring in the first place. I didn't know it was to this point, but I guess it's to this point. Now, Rocky and Chantel, they have a connection here, and they see, Tiffany sees the two of them hug. She gets a little bit jealous, but she has her sights on Carlo, so she's kind of, going to focus on that. But she's a bit jealous that Chantel and Rocky have made this connection. Chantel is optimistic for their date. They're having fun amongst the group. Carlo and Cole seem to have some type of bromance. They're like, if it doesn't work out with any of these women, that at least we have each other. And Cole hasn't talked to Jen today. Now, Elise and Carlo sit amongst the group, and he says, since Tiffany went out on her date with Jay, he kind of got in a fight with Jay before this whole date scenario, just the fact that he asked. I don't know if he was that hurt by it, but now he's like, I'm going to go on a date and I'm going to ask I'm going to ask Elise to go on this friend date with me. And Elise's like, I want more than that. This is not just a friend date. You got to do better than that. So he's like, okay, this is a real date. He gets on his knee and asks her, would you go on this date with me? So now they're going on a date. Chantel's a bit surprised. She didn't even know the two of them had any type of connection at all. So now they're doing this activity as the group, and it's called Sexy Bingo. This game includes sexy dares in a jar. So if you get your number pulled, and your number, I guess, is in the red, then you have to do whatever's in this jar. So there's involving licking earlobes, and she gets to pick who she wants to do that with. And Rob is like, you better not choose Cole, because I'm not going to be played again. I just asked her on this date. She was happy. She better not do that. And so she ends up picking a girl, Tessa. She's always ambiguous. She never really lets the guy know she really wants that certain guy. I feel like she's kind of playing the game, so to speak, and never letting either one of these guys see her cards completely. Even though it looks like she's clear that she's connecting with Rob at this time, but she can easily go back and forth. She's done it. But next up, Carlo, he picks a number. He picks a dare out of this jar, and you have to take off one item. So he takes off his shirt, throws it at Tiff, and then he kisses her. So this just more solidifies that the two of them look like they're gonna be a thing. Chantel starts realizing, because she's in the midst of seeing that, as well as hearing the earlier conversation with him asking Elise out. It's like, he's going back and forth. Is he playing both sides here? Chantel's a little surprised, still in the surprise mode, and realizing, he's kind of going back and forth with this. The next person to pull out one of these dares is Rocky. He has to do a massage. Chantel jumps up right out of her seat, not even giving anyone else a chance. But they were into this massage. That's all I have to say. Then there's another one where you have to pretend to be intimate with someone, which I thought was kind of in bad taste, but May did that with Joe. So I don't know who chose who on this one, but Tim seemed to like watching this, and he wanted to more investigate or connect with May. Joe gets another turn. He's chosen again and does some type of shots off of Elise. And she's like wearing this little bikini, and it's really trying to be like Love Island. It's trying to be risque, so to speak. They're doing a lot on this episode. One person had to seductively eat strawberries while staring at the other person. That one was kind of safe to me. Like I could do eating strawberries. Was it chocolate covered strawberries? I mean, I could do that one. And then Rocky, he wins the whole bingo night, but he has to pull one out. I'm like, well, if I win the whole night, why do I have to pull out one of these? Can I make someone else do something? So now he has to twerk. Don't think he was really good at it. He was having fun with it, but he looked kind of stiff. I can't do it either, so I'm not even gonna lie. Usman comes and jumps up and makes a beat to it because he didn't have any screen time, so he had to put himself in there somehow. Uh, it was all right. I think they were trying to have a moment, but it was kind of weird. So Rocky and Chantel, they're going on their date, and Rob and Jen are also going on their date. They're going to be doing jet skiing. And it looks like the girls let their guys drive the jet ski. Jen and Rob have their alone time afterwards, flirting, but Rob looks kind of nervous to me in his flirt. She looks giddy, he looks nervous. So they're gonna seal this new connection because they look like they're acting as if, we're gonna continue this vibe. And so he's like, seal it with a kiss, and he says everything just feels natural between them. It's not anything that they have to try hard for. They just have this connection, and she's the one. It appears this is what Rob is saying. I don't know if she's going to solidify that, but she seems to be having a good time with him so far. She does seem to be very attracted to him. She has a different vibe between him than with Cole, though I think that she likes both of them, but I definitely see a different connection she has with Rob. But again, I never know what she's gonna do. She keeps us on our toes, so I think that she's gonna probably try to keep us guessing and keep the guys guessing as well. So Chantel and Rocky, they get off their jet ski and they go for drinks, but at this they had fun on the jet skis, but it's like now Chantel is nervous. They're sitting at the bar. She asks him about Tiffany and who does he prefer, and then she says, okay, I'm gonna slow down because this is our first date, even though they kind of been talking and connecting a little bit before this. But yeah, Tiffany and Rocky kind of have had this vibe between each other for a while. Not sure why he never asked her for a date. But now she takes off this list. It's the hot list, or is it the hot seat? Because, at first she asked him, where would you always like to visit? He said Nepal. Then she has some follow-up questions, and he's like, well, what's up with this list? It's kind of a put off to him. He really doesn't want to do the list. And then he asks her, why are we doing this? And I guess he's trying to say it's disrupting their flow or their connection. They shouldn't need a list if they have a natural connection with each other. But she says she has this list just because of her nerves. It helps her focus. And a lot of times she starts getting connected with guys and the situation lacks the depth that she really wants. So she tries to really focus in with these questions. But since things seem to be so challenging with their back and forth, and she has this list, he's not liking the list. It's making everything kind of uncomfortable. She feels disconnected and is like thinking about her friend Ashley, who she feels might be more than her friend, because I believe Ashley did let her know she had feelings for her. So she's now thinking about Ashley, saying if I was with her, it would be more comfortable. The feelings are stronger. But I'm like, yeah, because this person, you've built a relationship. You kind of just met this guy, kind of give it a chance. I mean, of course it's going to feel different due to the fact that you have built a connection with one person. The other person you're just getting to know. So yeah, there's definitely going to be some differences on that level. That's probably one of the biggest differences. I don't know if I would say she has to give it a chance, but I think that she should, since she's on this experiment, in this experience. It's all worth giving it a chance and giving it a try. Tim stops by Maze, and he's gonna try to shoot his shot with her. They talk outside of her room, and the coach says, basically talks to him and says, he's a bit too slow, and he says, rejection versus regret. You're gonna feel one or the other. So which one do you want to deal with? Then they talk about how they both didn't have a date, and we know that she turned down Colt, who asked her for a date previously. But he asked her for this date, and she has like a very long pause, and they went to commercial and everything. But she says yes. She says she does appear to be picky. She has been picky on this trip, but she's glad he was courageous enough just to even approach her in this way. So she's saying, okay, let's give it a try. They're both kind of chill people, and she said she didn't really know he was even that interested in her in that way. So I guess it's a date. Carlo and Elise, they talk about their one-nighter, and I'm like, oh, this seems like it came out of nowhere, right? She feels their connection is deep. Carlo feels bad because he's supposed to be connected with Tiffany, of course. Elise says, where does that leave us when it comes to Tiffany? And he says, I do want to choose somebody for the rest of this ride, for this experience, and I'm gonna have to choose you now that they've had their intimate moments. So they choose each other. She chooses him as well. Now he has to break the news to Tiffany. And there she's in the hammock, he goes over there, they're all over each other, kissing it up. And I was confused on the timeline of when this started. Is this after their first date? No, they didn't even go on the date yet, because I did get to watch a bit of the Between the Sheets episode, and basically from what they were saying, some behind the scenes stuff is after they did that sexy bingo thing, that's the night where they ended up hooking up. So I guess it's kind of recent, but I remember earlier when Elise said that Carlo was talking to her, and he was in her room, and Tiffany was like kind of surprised that he was in her room. She's kind of wondering why, but I guess she never investigated any further. Whatever the case, they built up a rapport, and now it led to this. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe had a few makeout sessions or anything before that. I really wouldn't be surprised, since it seems like they were kind of closer than the show was letting us on. With the editing and production, they had to sneak a surprise up on us. Now Tiffany invites Carlo to come through, but Courtney and Joe are there also. So Courtney talks about her situation with Colt and how she feels a connection with Colt, but she still wants to see how things go with Usman. She's not sure. She wants to just pick one, but she's acting like she's not sure yet. But we're sure for you. We already know. Now Carlo arrives. He's acting pretty weird. He asked Joe and Courtney for privacy, and Tiffany's pretty much confused at this point. But next time we'll see, because they've been kind of teasing this. They teased this last time, and I thought they were going to get into the conversation last time, but they still have us on the hook as far as this conversation. But we know what it's going to be about, because we just saw Carlo and Elise, and we know that they've been hooking up. So we know what the word is going to be when it comes to that. But that's it, guys. That's enough of our recap chat this time for Hump for Love. Thoughts, comments, questions, please drop me a line. Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. Check us out on our other platforms at cbiztvmedia.com. How do you feel about the show? Is it worth it? Are you liking it? I mean, I was kind of interested in it. I think people are really watching because of the sexy moments, but once you start watching so much of it, I feel like you have to watch it to the end. Just like with some of these series that I talk about in seasons, once I start, even though things may not always be that entertaining, I can't stop. I gotta see how this ends, and I think maybe that's what some of these shows are counting on. So your thoughts, comments, questions are welcome. And we're going to talk more faith, love, and trends next time. This is Irene, CBiz TV Media. All the best, and God bless.